This happened when I was a third-year urinal studies major. The university had just installed a new state-of-the-art urinal system in the men's restroom on the third floor of the humanities building. It was supposed to be a technological marvel, but something about it gave me the creeps. One night, I was working late on my thesis about the cultural significance of urinals in modern society. The silence of the empty building was only broken by the faint hum of the fluorescent lights. Eventually, I decided to take a break and headed to the restroom. As I entered, the automatic lights flickered on, casting eerie shadows across the tiled walls. The new urinal system stood before me, a gleaming chrome monstrosity with a dozen sensors and a strange, pulsating blue light. I hesitated for a moment, feeling a chill run down my spine. As I approached, the urinal seemed to come alive. The sensors whirred and clicked, and the blue light intensified. Suddenly, a voice boomed from within the urinal. "Welcome, user. Please proceed with your business." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The voice was cold and mechanical, devoid of any human warmth. I tried to back away, but the door slammed shut behind me, trapping me inside. The voice continued, "Please proceed with your business. Failure to comply will result in immediate termination." I had no choice. I stepped forward, my hands shaking. The urinal sensor scanned me, and the voice spoke again. "Scanning complete. Please commence urination." As I stood there, a wave of nausea washed over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that something sinister was happening behind the scenes. I finished my business and quickly zipped up, but the voice wasn't done with me yet. "Thank you for your contribution. Your data has been collected and will be used for research purposes." The lights flickered again, and the door swung open. I stumbled out of the restroom, my mind racing with fear and confusion. I never returned to that restroom again, and I never finished my thesis on urinals. I guess some things are better left unknown. I worked alone at night in the urinal museum, a job that I had taken out of desperation. The museum was a small, cramped space filled with rows of old and vintage urinals, each with its own unique history. The silence of the empty building was only broken by the faint sound of dripping water. As I made my rounds, checking each exhibit to ensure everything was in order, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The eyes of the urinals seemed to follow me as I walked, their porcelain surfaces reflecting the dim light of my flashlight. One night, as I was about to lock up, I heard a faint whisper coming from the back of the museum. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The whisper grew louder, turning into a cacophony of voices, all speaking at once. I followed the sound, my flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. As I entered the back room, the voices stopped. In the center of the room stood a urinal unlike any I had seen before. It was made of a dark, almost black material, and its surface seemed to absorb the light. As I approached, the whisper started again, this time coming from the urinal itself. I could make out fragments of sentences, words like trapped and forever. Suddenly the room was filled with a blinding light. When my vision cleared, I was no longer in the museum. I was standing in a vast, empty space, surrounded by rows upon rows of urinals stretching as far as the eye could see. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices, each trapped within their own porcelain prison. I tried to run, but the urinals seemed to stretch on forever. Then I realized that I was trapped, just like the voices. I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. It was just a dream, I told myself. But as I looked around the museum, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. I quit my job the next day, and I never returned to the urinal museum. Some jobs are just not worth the nightmares. I was a urinal inspector, and my job was to ensure that all public restrooms were up to code. It was a thankless job, but it paid the bills. One night, I was called to a rundown bar in the outskirts of the city. The owner had reported a problem with one of the urinals. As I entered the restroom, I could smell the stench of stale urine and cheap beer. The urinal in question was in the back corner, a rusty old thing that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in years. I approached the urinal, my flashlight illuminating its grimy surface. Suddenly, the water started to swirl. A deep, guttural growl echoed from within the pipes. I stepped back, my heart pounding in my chest. Then water erupted from the urinal. and a creature emerged. It was a grotesque amalgamation of porcelain and flesh, with eyes made of rusted metal and teeth that looked like broken glass. It lunged at me, and I stumbled back, my flashlight clattering to the floor. I ran like there was no tomorrow, the sound of the creature's gurgling laughter chasing me down the hallway. I burst out of the restroom and into the bar, the patrons staring at me in confusion. I tried to warn them, but they just laughed, thinking I was drunk. I never returned to that bar, and I never told anyone about what I saw. Some things are better left buried, especially when they come from the depths of a urinal.